This is the best anti-meta deck in the Pokemon TCG. Roll the intro. What is going on, everybody? Hitmonchanning here, back again with another Pokemon trading card game online deck tech, and today I wanted to show you all what I think the best anti-meta deck in the Pokemon TCG is, and that is Malamar VMAX. Malamar VMAX is a deck that counters all three, or like the best three decks in the game right now, and nobody is really playing it. So I'm gonna go through all the cards right here, and I'm gonna explain to you why I think this deck is so good. Malamar VMAX, fairly simple Pokemon, 310 HP, Dark type, Max Jammer, 2 Dark and Colorless for 180 damage. Your opponent reveals their hand, choose a card you find there, and put it on the bottom of their deck. Now, this is a very good card for disruption purposes. You can disrupt your opponent's hand, and combined with other disruption cards, such as Roxanne, which puts your opponent down to 2 cards in hand, Path to the Peak, which lets V Pokemon not have abilities, and Tool Jammer, which lets your opponent's Pokemon tools not have any effect. This deck is a dastardly combo. Now, you're definitely thinking, what is there a Jolteon in here for? And you got some Arceus, you got 1/1 Bibarel. Like, this deck is all over the place, and I'm gonna explain. The 3 current best decks in format, in my opinion, are number 1, Palkia VSTAR, number 2, Arceus VSTAR with Inteleon, and number 3, Mew VMAX. I think those are the 3 best decks in format that can pretty much run through any deck, given the opportunity. They have the most consistency, high damage output, energy acceleration. They have it all of those decks. And this deck, thanks to the Arceus VSTAR engine, is actually able to counter all of those decks. So, to counter Palkia VSTAR and Arceus VSTAR, we have Jolteon with the Thunderous Awakening ability. If this Pokemon has a memory capsule attached, water Pokemon in play have no abilities, and that just completely shuts off the shady dealings in Inteleon line. Boom, there you go. Arceus VSTAR can't do anything, Palkia VSTAR can't do anything. Those matchups become instant win with Malamar VMAX, because you can then choose a card from your opponent's hand, put it at the bottom of their deck. If that was their only research, or that was their only out to knocking out your Jolteon, or you find a boss in there and you put that at the bottom of their deck, you're essentially locking your opponent out of the game to do anything beyond what they have on their board state. And to beat Mew VMAX, we have Path to the Peak, we have Marnie, 4 of those, we have a Roxanne, and, Malamar VMAX, Dark type, it has weakness, instantly one-hit KOing Mew VMAX. So, a lot of good stuff going on in this deck. We also play the 1/1 line of Bibarel, just for our draw engine / support. We also play a Crobat V, but, we can't always count on it, considering we play 3 copies of Path to the Peak in this deck. I mean, 4/2 line of Arceus, we have a Pumpkaboo in case we need to get rid of our own path or an opponent's path, 2 Memory Capsule, 2 Boss's Orders. The rest of this list is pretty straightforward. Capture Energy and Double Turbos to help us get set up and get energy on Arceus quicker to get that Trinity Nova, respectively. But yeah, that is pretty much the deck list, and you know what? We're just gonna hop right into some games and hopefully get a few good ones. My opponent calling the coin flip here. We're gonna see what they got. Looks like they got a Dynamax Mew coin, so they might be playing a Mew VMAX deck here. We'll have to look and see, but we got the coin flip. We're absolutely gonna go first. Now, I hope we just get a good first turn setup here. And the 3 Ultra Balls capture energy. We have actually all the tools we need to set up for success going first. So, we're just gonna have to see. My opponent playing Radiant Charizard. Could be a Radiant Charizard box, but that relies on the Inteleon engine. And because we have all of the pieces of the puzzle in here, here's my memory capsule, we can absolutely get this setup going. Ultra Ball away in Marnie and an Ultra Ball. I could risk the Crobat here, but I really don't know. Well, it's not even in the deck. Never mind, can't do that. We also don't have Bidoof in here, but I think we just kind of have to get a Malamar down. And maybe we'll just Tool Jammer the active Arceus, so they can't put an Air Balloon or Retreat, anything like that. And now we'll just wait and see from my opponent's setup. We have a pretty good thing going right now. Our next turn, Marnie's going to be good, and then if we can find our Arceus VSTAR, we will be chilling. Who knows, it might even be better to Ultra Ball away our Marnie and whatever else we get to play an Arceus VSTAR. My opponent is getting rid of their shady dealings in Inteleon here. So this is like a Fire and Talion box. Getting the Arceus V down. And they have a Crobat for 4 cards as well. Hopefully getting a better setup, but they don't really have too much going on. And this is amazing for us because we can just Ultra Ball this hand away. Grab ourselves our V-Star. And no Path to the Peak in play means that we can bring up Arceus VSTAR and Starbirth. I mean, the choices are clear. We need to get a Research and we need to get a Double Turbo Energy. Malamar will be powered up and ready to go next turn. But Double Turbo, Research, boom, clean 7 cards. We have our Jolteon, which is also amazing. Another Arceus, which is good. And we have a Path to the Peak, which turns off any other Starbirths from coming out. Trinity Nova taking the first knockout. Only 1 prize, but we do get Malamar V, at least at this point, V, powered up and ready to go. Doesn't look like they can take a return knockout on our Arceus VSTAR, but we can take a single prize. Dark Energy, you know, not great in this scenario considering we have a pretty established board state. But if we can find ourselves that memory capsule, we will absolutely be in an amazing, amazing spot. My opponent dropping a Raihan onto their Arceus V, and they can probably just find their Arceus VSTAR, but the question is, what are they going to be powering up? They can't Starbirth unless they're looking for another Stadium. They do have a sizable hand, so it's possible to get something they can use, but we'll have to see. Magma Basin coming out to play, and they have that Evolution Incense to get their Arceus VSTAR, which in turn allows them to Starbirth. You know, we're going to have to see what they get. It could be a Charizard VSTAR deck, but looks like they got a Galarian Zapdos V coming onto the field, which is very, very interesting to me. Because, you know, right now they need a single Fighting Energy, but they don't have the attachment for turn. Opting for a Capture Energy on a Sobble here. So it looks like they're playing some sort of toolbox deck, but they're going to Starbirth. And, you know, as much as it doesn't seem like it is, this is very good news for us. We have that Counter Stadium and Path to the Peak to turn the Zapdos off from taking a one-hit KO on our Arceus's. Malamar is not weak to fighting, it's actually weak to grass, so we'll be good there. My opponent might be going for a boss to try and trap something or target down our Malamar V. Maybe they're going to knock out our Jolteon. That could be a good play for them. But I don't know how much they're dependent on the Shady Dealings line in this deck. It seems like it helps. They're just going to go for the Trinity Nova, powering up the Zapdos, I guess. They need to get at least a Fighting Energy on it, and it would be a mistake for them not to fully power up its attack cost because they might need it if we have another path. And we do have another path. So dumping a lot of energy onto that Zapdos is good for us. We can evolve right here. Let's go ahead and Quick Ball away an energy. Unfortunately, no VMAX in sight right now, but that's okay. Just going to thin our deck down a little bit. We'll grab a Pumpkaboo just in case we don't have another Stadium to bump, but we have Path to the Peak. We're going to attach a Double Turbo onto this Arceus VSTAR. And, I mean, what we can do is we can actually drag off and bring something into the active, such as this Zapdos. They discard Special Energy, but it's knocking out these Arceuses either way. But I really do need to set this Arceus up to be KO'd. So I think the Trinity Nova here is the way to go. And we can just power up an Arceus VSTAR. And now that leaves us with an option of using our Darkness Energy on our Jolteon to retreat it if we need to. So we have a good established board state. We need Malamar VMAX desperately though. Having the 3 Ultra Balls in hand is good. We're actually going to boss up our other Arceus VSTAR and most likely go into Zapdos here, which, you know what, that's a pretty good plan. If I do say so myself, they can target down our Arceuses easily. They can power up their Arceus again. Boom, Thunderous Kick, and taking the knockout and taking 2 prizes. But now, this is the hardest part. What we might have to do is drag off, bring something up. We can Brain Shake this Zapdos and attempt to confuse it, but we have the Evo Incense. That is exactly what I was looking for. Malamar VMAX coming out to play. Put him into play right there. And we'll attach this for the purpose of retreating. Boom. Max Jammer. They can't knock this guy out just yet. And what are we going to put at the bottom of their deck? I think what we might have to do is Research, right? Because nothing else really gets them out to anything. Choice Bell increases their damage, but it doesn't matter that much. Actually, it doesn't matter. We have to put that Research at the bottom of their deck. And now, if we knock out this Zapdos next turn, which we absolutely will, they're going to be pretty tight on energy, considering they have a Double Turbo in the discard and a bunch of other stuff. So it looks like they drew into that Pal Pad, trying to get some supporters back. they can go into our Zapdos here. Sorry, our Malamar, you know, but we can take that knockout. They can take this knockout. We can knock out their Arceus next turn. Now, them not having a guaranteed knockout here is great for us because, you know, this Malamar VMAX is more tanky, and we only need to take out just any combination of 3 Pokemon basically. But they got another Arceus down, and we're gonna have to wait and see what my opponent decides to do. It might just be the Thunderous Kick. I don't see a boss coming out, but they're gonna retreat into Arceus VSTAR and opt to repower up their Zapdos. They're actually gonna go for a Trinity Nova here for 210 damage, probably putting another energy onto that Zapdos. That's fine with me. Oh, they're actually gonna get this Arceus V ready. Pretty interesting. We don't really need to do much here. Or what we could do something funny. Let's just take a peek in our deck for some other stuff. We'll get this Bibarel out in case we get the Bidoof off the prizes. Now, we can't afford to retreat this Malamar. We just can't afford to do it. So, doesn't look like we can do exactly what I wanted to. But Max Jammer is just fine with me. They need another energy to use their Zapdos. Lucky for us, that energy is at the bottom of the discard pile. They need to draw into it, and we get to draw 2 prizes, including our Bidoof, which we were solely missing, and a Quick Ball, which can help us, you know, thin down our hand for the Bidoof for the Bibarel in 2 turns. Now, they needed to draw an energy here, or else they actually cannot attack thanks to that Path to the Peak in play. Now they're just going to retreat into Crobat V, and this is where this deck shines. We can Max Jammer again and take another knockout. And we've essentially checkmated my opponent at this point. Going for another Max Jammer, taking their Crobat V out. And what do they have in their hand? An Ultra Ball? Goodbye, Ultra Ball. There's nothing you can do about that. Back into your deck, and we get 2 prizes. One of which is our Crobat. If we really need to draw cards next turn, we can use it. Doesn't matter what they do here. They're going to need to bring up their Arceus V if they hope it doesn't get knocked out. But they're going to boss in an attempt to stall us. That is what they do from the top of their deck. Tool Scrapper, sure. Go ahead. Doesn't matter. We have the switch in hand and a boss as well. We're just going to switch. We're just going to boss up this Zapdos, switch into Malamar, and use Max Jammer to take the final KO of the game, stopping my opponent's deck in their tracks. This is the power of Malamar VMAX and the tools that it has to disrupt your opponent so much that they can't even play the game. So what do you think of Malamar VMAX? I think this deck is seriously underrated and very, very, very strong in the current format here. If I were to make any changes to the deck, I definitely do have a few after playtesting it a lot. First, I think this should be upped to a 2-2 line. Bidoof and Bibarel. I think that it is so important to get that draw engine out, because we don't play a whole ton of, we play a lot of supporters, but not all of them are draw supporters. We only have 6 that we can actually use effectively and consistently, because we have to draw into them naturally or Starbirth for them. But, you know, I think upping this to 2-2 line, I don't know how necessary the Crobat is, because you can't use it when you have 3 copies of Path. Pumpkaboo is 100% necessary. You need to keep that in, unless you decide to play it like a training court or something as well. Another thought I have is to either add a Choice Belt or scrap the Tool Jammer for a Choice Belt. That extra 30 damage on Malamar is very relevant if you're hitting V Pokemon, which you very well might be with Max Jammer. It can take you to knock out something like a Zapdos V or a basic Arceus or something. Or nearly knock it out, I should say. And then the other card I wanted to add maybe was a Galarian Zigzagoon. That 1 damage ping can make all the difference. Like if you want to knock out a basic Arceus V, for example, or whatever, you know, after your Choice Belt damage modifications. Malamar VMAX is just shy of that proper number to KO basic Vs. So if your opponent doesn't have much going on and you want to really take out their main attacker while they are struggling to set up and just essentially win the game, you can add a couple win cons in here, which they shouldn't be too hard to get because you have Arceus VSTAR's Starbirth ability access to just search whatever you want for whatever situation you're in. So those would be my changes to the deck. Nothing crazy. I'm going to play around with it a bit more before I find, like, the perfect version. But I think this version is very, very well balanced, very, very strong, and very actually surprisingly consistent, even though there's not a lot of draw going on and you're very dependent on hitting what you need. But between Crobat and between our Bibarel over here and our Researches and our Marnies, you can hit your numbers and you can hit your target in terms of disruption fairly easily. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below, what do you think of Malamar VMAX? What do you think of this card and what do you think of this deck? How would you change it? And last but not least, subscribe to the channel for some more Pokemon trading card game online content. And with all that said and done, Hitmonchanning